shout out to Absolute Streaming for making this live stream possible.
Broadbeach Cats 2021 QAFL Premiers.
Big shout out to Absolute Streaming, absolute legends.
Hey guys, my name's Nelson. I'm from Absolute Streaming. I'm here today with Michael. We hopefully
Hello.
have audio and everything on. So we're here from Absolute Streaming to bring you another episode of our VODCAST, which has been pretty fun so far. So today, both Michael and I were thinking that probably going through bodyboarding would be important. That's something that we've probably done a lot of in the last year or so. And from a number of different avenues, of different places, really, different beaches, I would say, at the end of it. So that's been the biggest thing. I love that promo clip. I think as we get more and more stuff, like that's going to add to it. But it's like, gets you excited a little bit from there, which is really good. So essentially, we've done bodyboarding. I've done it for a little while, I guess, before. Like I brought Michael, you along to kind of do it as well. But that was kind of with, I guess, just one man stream kind of stuff. And like you can do it. You can get the stream deck kind of going, and you can keep doing the replays, and you can get it all out. The biggest struggles that we had more than anything was just like data and encoding and just weather, really, more than anything. You can be just one man band with a camera and do it all and get it running and have everything kind of around you. And that does work. But like it's so much easier to have other people around that we can kind of do things and do different angles and things like that. So like on that vein there, because that's like, this was back when we did the state titles one, just this last year, 2023. I was down at Duranbar. I mean, this is like, that's fairly typical really, almost of our like size setup now, isn't it? From a bodyboarding point of view.
Yeah, it looks like a lot there. Like it looks kind of all over the place, but we come in and we really wrap our heads around it.
Yeah.
So we know it may look like we have a bit of a mess there, but we know what we're doing. We know exactly what's going on.
I think the mess is mainly to keep it off the sand, probably, than anything else.
Exactly.
It's like a lot of those cables, we've got cables that are good, like quite long meterage from the Ethernet ones that we use, the Cat 6s. So like they're coiled together, but we're just trying to keep stuff off the sand. Like that's the main thing there, because like that's the biggest challenges that we've had, is probably trying to preserve all of the things that we have, because it's like expensive gear at the same time. We're not just doing it otherwise. On concrete, like it'd be great if we had, and eventually that's in the works, like whether it be trailer or van or something that we can do it in, that it protects it all, and we just run cables and stuff around, like that'd be great. But until that point, we've got to go wherever the events are, really. I would say
That's it. You gotta. I mean, we've been lucky with the Sunshine Coast, where they've put us on a deck. That's by far been the most easiest location we've done. That was like next to no sand. It was right next to the car park, so we can lug gear a lot easier. I mean, like people get quite scared when they hear about film on a beach with sand, but you can still do it with looking after your equipment as well. So we bring along a little blower, and we put a tarp underneath the table, so in case it falls, it just goes on the tarp instead of sand. So it sounds scary to film on the beach, but if you prepare and plan ahead, you're fine.
Yeah, because it's like, I think like when you've done that, when we were down at Tugun recently for the Future Pros kind of event, like that's when we had and you did this lovely little clip kind of out of it. But like, I mean, you can see on these ones here, if I'll grab pause on it, but it's like, we're on the beach basically. We're still got, like, we've got a tarp underneath us, which has worked quite well. But the fortunate fact is we have coverage over the top, so if it rains, we're not getting wet. But it's just the side winds and the sand. That's probably the main thing. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
we do use fairly kind of good gear to hold on to that.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's some of our stream decks and other things like that we use. That's got our the Netgear M4250 switches plus our HyperDecks and laptops and things like that. So like we
Mm.
have a fair bit of stuff, and that's often our typical kind of angle, I guess, isn't it? Down
Yeah.
to the beach
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
we've got multiple cameras that we do that with. So I think
Yeah.
we've got your camera off. We've still got other cameras to add into it if we wanted to, but we've got yours off site, kind
Yeah.
of looking at the commentators, which was I think back.
Yeah.
If I drag this one back again, see if I can
Yeah.
find it.
Let's back a bit
Drag this
further.
clip.
Yeah.
There you go. So
Yeah.
yeah, yours is just in the corner there. But like, we've got the mixing board there, we've got the headsets, we've got the like monitor there that you can just see on the bottom left that has also the live replays that we're sending out. So like we're sending out a program feed to that so that the commentators can talk to it. And that's the really great thing is that they can make live commentary and it's pretty much like broadcast level then. Like, I mean, we're getting everything out of it, of what we're doing straight away, of what's going up to YouTube. And that
Hmm.
the thing is that they're seeing that they're commentating to it. It's the same as when we did AFL for like Queensland AFL kind of stuff as well, is that our replays were
Yep.
getting the audio added in sync. It was going out at the right time. You were hearing it as if it was a broadcast basically. So I think that was a really good measure, and we've been able to do that. Like we've got more gear now. Like I've made a few more bomb-proof type cases for screens and other things. So we're kind of like diversifying in that way so we can protect our stuff more and
Yeah.
travel with it and do
Yeah.
things. So that'll be good when we
Yeah.
get that opportunity later this year to do more of that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, you got to go where the events are. And I think we've never been shy for that kind of thing. Because you'd never really done any bodyboarding before, kind of that, had you, Michael?
Never done it. Never watched it.
Yeah.
Know nothing about it. Closest I've been is actually just going to the beach, and
Yeah.
that's as close as I've ever
Yeah.
watched any sort of bodyboarding or surfing.
Yeah.
But it's a great sport. It really is. It's a great sport because it's a very communal
Mm.
sport. Like I don't think I've ever been to any sort of other sporting venue or event where it was really community based. So like everybody comes down, and the support there is really, really impressive.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing seeing everybody get behind, young surfers or middle-aged surfers, bodyboarders. Sorry, but yeah, it's just a really communal sort of sport, and that's really great to see. And they it's they all sort of look out for each other sponsor-wise as well, which I'm sure we'll get into soon with the sponsor side of things.
Yeah.
But in terms of doing it for the first time, it still is quite challenging at times. Actually, it is a very challenging thing to film and stream because you're doing it really early in the morning, where the sun's sort of coming up, so that's hitting you pretty hard in the morning.
Yep.
And we know to use ND filters and everything like that, but it's not the fact that we have trouble seeing the people out in the water. It's the fact that sun's just really shooting at us that early, and it's almost quite unbearable. But we try different things. Obviously, we put like a black some material over us in the cameras just to help block the sun, and monitors help. And you're only talking for like an hour of it, a real struggle. But that goes for everybody. Like even the judges and the commentary can't. That we all have trouble seeing the surfers out there. It's not just our crew.
Yeah.
But other than that, it is very busy in the surf in the morning. So you get some interference with other surfers, which means you potentially could be shooting the wrong surfer. You're not shooting a bodyboard. You're shooting a surfer.
I mean, it's pretty hard, I guess. Like that's what it comes into. Like the challenges, I guess. Like that's been a good thing that you've kind of raised there. Is like the sun is just like the first challenge of the day. Like I mean, setting up is not really a challenge. Like we've done it quite a few times now. Gold Coast Bodyboard Club's been great, like with their setups. Sunshine Coast Bodyboard Club, as you also said, that we've worked for. They've also had really good setups, and I guess they've tried to mimic each other a little bit. So like that's been really easy for us to get tables there and space and get going with what we need to connect, plug in. But then like the problem is you connect it up and you've got just blaring sun that's just like in you like that, and it's just like this constant glare of white. You can't tell any color. Like even if you're looking with your polarized sunnies at it, you still can't tell who that is. So
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
that's just being on the East Coast, really, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And like for those who don't know, when like each bodyboarder had a different color skivvy on, so that's how we that's how we pinpoint who's got the good wave throughout the day, because someone would yell out red or yellow, so we know to quickly punch in and get them. But right early in the morning, they all just look like they have black skivvies on, because like they're literally just silhouettes in the ocean. In the ocean,
Pretty
it's
much,
tough.
isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is hard, but that's not just for us, but for everybody, like I said.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's an early morning start, but that's fine. And there's a lot of gear to lug, and it's not easy to lug it in the sand. But like I said before, it's a very communal event,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you've got like 6 other pairs of hands helping you lug equipment down, and
Yeah.
setting up the teepees and whatnot and the tables. So
Yeah.
it's they really make it quite easy for us, which is really great. But yeah,
No.
first hour and a half is pretty tough. With our other streamings, obviously we get there like an hour and a half early to set up. But for events like these, we got to be there like 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours earlier than the start of the event. Because there's just so much to factor in, and we're not only looking after our stream, but we're looking after the judges, and we're looking after the commentary team as well. So there's a lot there to set up.
Yeah, I'm just looking through our other gear just to like show essentially what our type of what it'll look like and what we kind of do. So if I pull out one of the clips to go, I'm just trying to find one of the early ones of the day, because that's generally the you see and you're like, oh yep, that's pretty bad. These ones are not too bad actually, because I'll try and have a look, because the Future Pros last 2022. I say last year, we're only we're now in February actually. But some of the early ones of there were just like so bright that it was just impossible to see anything else. And I think I remember that you were kind of doing looking around, being like, I can't see like who's going on. It's like, it's all right, like no one can see, what's going on either. So because it's just, I mean, I guess if we're on the west coast of Australia, that'd be different, but that's just what you got to deal with. So I'll grab this one here just so we can put it all up, and I'll show you the difficulty that can kind of be of bodyboarding, filming bodyboarding essentially. So this one here's one of our replay clips. You don't get any, I guess.
You need a 4.31 to advance, and Tommy Marshall.
Very early on. You don't get any kind of scores on this because we record our replay clips clean. So it's a high quality record that we get on that. But like, I mean, if I scrub through this one here, like this, that there's like, you can just, fortunately on the screens you can see this, but that's because I'm inside. I don't have sun glaring at me. I've got nothing else going on, so I can see that he's kind of whitish. But I mean, if I was to play this through,
you need a 4.31 to advance, and Tommy Marshall, you need a 7.31 to advance.
And that's it. There's nothing else after that to do. So like playing that through,
you need a 4.31 to advance, and Tommy Marshall, you need a 7.31 to advance. That is just under 5 minutes remaining.
The other things for us to consider in the future is looking at other monitors, maybe like 7-inch kind of ones and brighter ones and things like that with sunshades, and just so that we can look at it, so we're not dealing with just the camcorder kind of monitors. But sun's the biggest one there as well, I would say.
Yeah, it's not so much the vision issue, like I said before. It's more just the fact that the sun's also punching in on everybody behind the camera, and it's just like, it's a killer, and it's damn hot as well that early in the morning. It's really hot, and like you come, because we get there so early, and like we rug up a little bit, and then that the heat comes on pretty quick, and then you got to make sure your jacket's off and all that. So
you
that's the only part.
You come like rugged up at the start, and by the end of it, it's like you're not really worrying too much from that point of view. So it's an interesting kind of thing to shoot, and I think like it's good challenges at the end of the day. That's what we've kind of overcome. The other ones, I guess, is weather. So environment's one of those things that is always going to be around us, like in Australia. the hot, the cold. Like we've gone from the events in September, October, where it's getting quite kind of warm, I guess, in Australia a little bit, to the one there where I showed you the initial one with our state titles last year, which is in May, and that's in May again this year. And that was like, single digits probably in the morning that we're turning up to the beach, and then it's like warming up as the day goes on. So you're kind of like all rugged up, doing all stuff, and then as the sun just slowly comes up, you're heating up and defrosting and stuff. So, and you got to be aware of your gear and stuff like that. So we do a lot of protection to try and make sure that stuff doesn't get hurt from that point of view, which is good. I guess the other one is like often we're dealing with a lot of people, and although like you said there we got good community that's around, there's often a lot of people that are quite keen but like haven't been part of these kind of things or don't know what to do. So that's with our headsets, with our mix board, with our cables, with the power, with anything. I mean, we had the issue like 2 years ago, whatever, where we had the generator, like everything's gone fine for like 9 hours or whatever, and then someone forgot to refill the generator because everything was coming to the end of the day. So we can only do so much if we don't have power, but like those guys are really good. I guess the benefit for a lot of our gear, like with the live view solos that we use, they are on battery as well, so we switched that over to just camera without kind of the graphics on it then until we got power back, which took about 5 or 10 minutes. And so we were able to still shoot and put that out to the world. It's just that we didn't have the graphics on top because we didn't have the extra laptops and everything kind of going through it, which is just how it is, and unless you can have mains power, there's not much you can kind of rely on much from that point of view. So, those are just the challenges, I think, when it comes down to it.
Yep. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, I mean, like, we're out on the beach. So, in terms of, data service and Wi-Fi service, like, we haven't had a lot of dramas with that. But I'm sure people are wondering if we have. But, just talk us through what we use, I guess, for data and stuff.
So we've got lots of mobile networks in Australia. Really, the one for us when we're so rural is Telstra. I don't think there's really another one that we can rely on in Australia as much. We have enticed. We've talked about the possibility of things like Starlinks and stuff like that. But they have their own issues. They have to connect to satellites. They've got to be line of sight. All of that. So we use multiple modems. That's one of our Netgear Nighthawks that we've kind of got there as well, if I put it the right way. So these ones here are 4G. 4GX kind of things in Australia, which is like LTE kind of thing anywhere else. And they work quite well they've got a lower frequency, so they throw quite far. We've got 5G ones, but 5G still mainly capital city for Australia. So we use them, but they will drop back to 4G. And we've got a number of USB dongles as well. So with our multiple solos, we've got multiple modems for each of those. But it's not uncommon for our gear or our solos to have like several ones attached to it there, so we can get a good stream. I think the biggest thing was when, although I'll show this photo here, but although it's not kind of, it's a concert kind of one, but this one's got like, 6 devices attached to it at a low data area. So we've got multiple USB modems with the Y cables. We've got a Wi-Fi. I think I plugged my phone in from Wi-Fi for extra, and then an Ethernet to one of our other modems as well. So 6 through ours, which we have the ability to do at Absolute Streaming with our live view, with redundant kind of live view Solo Pros, which are great, and that we'll get a really high quality HD signal out from that, which is really good. But they're the challenges, I guess, that come along with the gear. So we have multiple accounts set up with Telstra to get all those all the data kind of going. So we're always ready to go wherever, and even really low data environments, we make stuff work really well. But that's a challenge.
It is, but our upload speed is pretty damn good in those days. Like it gets up to what?
Okay.
Like,
well, we do. I started increasing it. Like I think we were so used to the old ones where you could only do like 6.5, I think max. But we put out like a good 8.5 signal now, which means that we're sitting at like the Solo Pros. Every time you do redundancy, it has like a little bit extra on top. So we have about 10 total that goes out, and then we stream to YouTube with about 8.5, I think. So that's pretty high quality from there.
Well, that's all you really need for 1080p and all that as well. So,
and YouTube starts like re-encoding it anyway, so it never looks like as good. Unfortunately, in Australia, we shoot a lot at 50p, and YouTube's very I guess, like even in Europe, there's a lot of 50, but it's just like from an American-based point of view, there's a lot of 30 and 60 when it comes to live streaming. You can upload clips that then are 50, which is fine, but what YouTube will do is re-encode, and it'll add, I think, 1 frame every 5th frame in there to get it up to 60. So it looks okay, but it's never going to be absolute pure quality of what we are getting out, because YouTube does re-encode that. That's just a nature of the encoding engines. We can't change that unless we changed everything to 60, but a lot of our cameras are built to only do 50 anyway in Australia because that's our normal signal. So I guess that's another thing to take into account with our gear as well. And then obviously we need internet for the other things like scoring. So like with our overlays we use the Stacked app, or at least a lot of the Bodyboard guys do. So that's one that's based in California. I think it's in San Francisco actually, but based in California. They make this app that's just for bodyboarding and surfing and stuff, and it's great. So they put all their data up to it from their iPads, and it all shoots up to the cloud. They all have their own apps to do it, which is really good, really like low resource kind of way to do it. But it also outputs an overlay graphic for us so that we can put it on. So I grabbed this one here actually so that I can show you.
Could have been a shoe
This is one of our kind of typical stream ones on here. And this is the overlay at the top. So it shows the heat, the time, the colors. So as you're saying before, Michael, the ones where it's like we have to know who's surfing where or bodyboarding, as well as the live score. So that gets updated as stuff goes. So that's really easy. I mean, we chuck the club logos on, as you can see there on the right. And then in the Sunshine Coast Bodyboard one, we actually had a block of sponsors down the bottom. So we had like the ones that were sponsoring for the club, which is great, and we could even animate those if we wanted to, or rotate through those, and we even put videos. So that kind of data you don't need much data for that, fortunately, because it's minimal, but you still need a device connected to the internet. So we use a bit of data, I guess, compared to just the iPads and things like that as well. But it's a struggle in Australia, I would say.
It is, but we've worked through it pretty well because we stream for 10 hours. Some days we've done 10-hour streams.
Yeah. Well, we
do.
Most times they'd start at like 7 a.m. sometimes, 7:30.
Yeah.
And we're getting there at like 5:30 in the morning. Like the sun's not even up yet. And we're taking gear down, and it takes us probably about 40 minutes to get set up and something like that. Get power on, test it all, and then we'll be going until like 5 o'clock was that state titles one. So like a good 10 hours of that, and that includes like the presentations. I guess that's the other big thing. So although you've seen the shots there of us kind of shooting and where we kind of go, we've got mobility on that beach as well. So we've actually, because we've got the longer cables, as you saw, that we can move those ones off, and they're all connected to our NDI encoders. So we can get shots from the side and the prize giving and award ceremonies and all of that. So like that's the service that we offer. And I think that's what the bodyboard clubs have seen, and how much we expand on just one camera on the beach. Like we're not just a guy turning up with a camera and an encoder and then just walking away again. The gear that we bring helps to make it such a prestigious event, and that's what we like displaying, and that's what we like showing people, is like how good their event can look online, and how everyone, like we had people looking at it from all overseas with all like some of the Future Pro ones, certainly some of the AFL stuff as well. There's families that are watching it from all up and down the coast and around Australia. So that's what we offer. That's how we do it, and give it a high quality, basically, so that people can see it and enjoy it.
Yeah. It's the client that we have that definitely takes advantage of what we have to offer, I feel.
Yeah.
Like, we mention what we can do, and they're like, cool, we got sponsors. We got people that want to do commentary. We've got judges. And then all of a sudden, we're kind of just giving them all we have to offer, almost. Especially like the sponsorship side of thing for them is important. And I think I'm not sure when you first started what they were like with sponsorship, but when I started with these guys, they just not only took advantage of like, graphics, but they were just like, let's get these people down here and interview them. Let's make sure they bring their products down, and let's have a camera on the commentary team, and let's interview the competitors, stuff like that. So they're very they they know exactly what a live stream is for. It's not just for their event, but it's it's for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that they take advantage of it. But yeah, I guess on the topic of sponsorship, like there's like 4 different types of sponsorship that we offer that they take advantage on. The first is obviously graphics.
Yep.
And those graphics come on like what, maybe 10 to 12 times a stream for them, or?
Yeah, so we've introduced lots of things when it comes to like I've just shown this photo here. So that's where they put it behind the commentators. So
yes,
they have their acai bowls. I've got Amazon Power that sponsors them. That gets all their other food, and they're great. They give us they provide food for us during the day. Like it's a great. We love working for the bodyboarding guys. Like they're really good. But like when we had the Sunshine Coast one, they had the guys there from the local breweries that were kind of showing stuff. And putting it, and that's where we utilized our cameras. So they had that in frame. They could talk through when there was lulls in the surf. So that's one, definitely like on camera is probably our first way to do that kind of stuff. The other way, which I'll pull up on this one here, so at least it won't show it, but like with the logos on it there. So up the top right, I guess, is the bodyboarding club one. So it's Gold Coast Bodyboarding Club, which is a great club. And we also can offer things that are like down the bottom there. So although I won't chuck up the titles and everything, but we can offer that static kind of logos, whether it be like of a sponsor or of like the club or like a message or something else basically. And that can be static or that can be dynamic. And we can pull that and push it and whatever we want to do. So it doesn't have to be there the whole time. It can be like, I think that's why we chat to our clients a lot before the event goes on. So we make sure that we know that they know what's going on, and we also make sure they get the best bang for buck from it on top. The other ones, like you said, was the ones that we played out a few times. So we have the videos lately from some of the sponsors, because fortunately everyone's kind of going into making their own small clips and videos. So as long as we can convert them down, we can chuck them out. And there's probably, it depends on the competition, but generally there's not too much that happens at the start of a new heat that'll last for 20 or 30 minutes. And then we can play out a 30-second or a couple of 30-second clips. And sometimes we've done picture-in-picture with those, so they've had the live gear on. Sometimes we've not. But we're always recording replay, so you and I are always looking at the surf there as well. So even if an ad is playing over the top, we're always capturing that replay, and we can play that out so that the viewer is not actually missing anything. So just like when you see it on broadcast on TV, like they'll come back from an ad break and it's like, oh, this is while you're away, and they'll find a gap to kind of play it, because live sport kind of keeps moving, and sometimes the ads just go a bit too long, and that's what you can't cut off, because that's where you get your money from. So but we're always watching, we're always saving replays, they're always recording, so we never miss anything. And I think that's the benefit of that. So we've got both on camera, on screen from there as well, moving, dynamic, as well as videos that we can also put out, and as well as the audio, like the commentary as well. I think they were a big thing for us to talk about a lot of stuff. They gave us a few shout outs, which is great. But I think that's the other way. So there's so many layers that you can build in to try and get money for sponsorship to make streaming and recording work for your event. To keep it going, and the sponsors are out there the whole time. Like everyone's talking about them. And when you've got an event that goes from, like the Future Pros lately was like first heat at 7 in the morning and it finished by 2:30 in the afternoon or whatever. Like that's just constant. There's no half-hour break in that. It's just heat to heat to heat. So you've got constant talking, constant images, constant videos back and forth between heats. Like that's your business getting out there, and that's helping the club out at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, exactly. The interview side of things is great as well with the sponsor. I love it when they come down and they talk about their product. It's especially when they can actually bring the product with them and show it on camera as well. Yeah. But which you don't see a lot. You don't even really see it on like TV broadcasts where people come down for interviews. It's a great way to put yourself out there. Yeah. And because you do get lulls in any sort of sport, I guess, and it definitely breaks up. It definitely makes the stream a lot more exciting as well. And also they speaking of interviews, they also bring down the competitors or any sort of club members to come down, and it's really great when they get the whoever's he's got the most points of that heat. to come down for a quick interview. It definitely enhances the stream a little bit.
I think
Makes it feel like a good.
I think the juniors loved it in the latest one that we were there. Like that was the
Yeah.
biggest thing. It's
Yeah.
like, they were on screen. There's a few other really well-known bodyboarders that were there as well. So they were kind of chatting to them. And like it's great. You go through a 20-minute heat, and then they come and sit down, and they've had like a couple of really great waves. And then the commentators that have just seen all of that, they've seen the replays, they've seen everything there. And it's like, I remember there was one in the Future Pros that we did recently, and I was on the camera, I was on the computer at that time while you were on the camera. And like one of these guys had done an ARS, a couple of good tricks, essentially one of the waves. So he's like kind of flipping and twisting and rolling at the same time, which is a pretty hard trick to do. And he's done a couple of those. And while he's sitting there chatting to the commentators, basically, so we've kind of got a 3-shot almost. And then he's seeing on the screen there, on the side, is just like, that's me kind of thing. Because I was playing out the replays because like we were done with the day, like it was just kind of interviews, and then we were going to move on to the awards ceremony. But like, yeah, he was like, and they were watching it all out. They were seeing how it was all going, and it's great. Like they were interacting literally live with our program, and seeing all that going. And like you wouldn't be able to offer that without other stuff that we have. I mean, if we were completely off site, it would be delayed by a good minute or so. You wouldn't be able to interact as quickly as that. Wouldn't go out. So like there is, although remote streaming is becoming a thing to try and leverage events, I think for this kind of a big events, it's really hard to offer the commentators plus the replays plus like a whole production value and do that all offsite with just like multiple encoders. Like you need to be on site with your gear, with the stuff that we have. And I think that makes it so much better as an experience, I would say.
Yeah. So while we're on the topic of commentary, like there is a bit more equipment involved with it as well. Like they've got their headsets. Now, what else do they have in front of them? They've got the mixer desk, but like lately we've given them the option to mute themselves on that device. What was that device called again?
That's it. That's the Rodecaster Pro 2 that we've got there. So we had our little XLR little mute buttons before, and so I've still got those. They can have a few grounding issues because there's so much salt around the beach. Because all of the headsets do need a bit of power to them. Or there's power at least in the mixer that it's coming from, they can have issues. And so their grounding can be so-so, and if someone has their hand leaning on it, then they're creating conductance because there's all the salt in the air. So we recently acquired a Rodecaster Pro 2, and this is where we first used it at the Future Pros, and that worked really, really well because we don't have, I mean, you can get 4 headsets into that at once. But that works really well because we've got 3 or 4 headsets anyway. For our mic'd ones, and these are really great Audio-Technica ones that a lot of people around the world use for this kind of broadcasting, and so they're really clear. You hear that like the pops work quite well, the pop filters on these, and like the guys really like it because there's no delay. They can hear what they're talking about and to who. And so we get that feed straight into one of our cameras, so it's all in sync. So they've got mute buttons on each of their channels, and as long as they're fairly, they don't even have to be too savvy, but as long as they know kind of what they're doing, we can explain it to them. Then down the bottom there, they can press the mute buttons for each of them, and that works really well. And it saves bending the cords for the mics, because I think the first time we did it with the mute buttons, no one really realized about the mute buttons, and they kept bending the cords kind of up the whole time, and I don't want to keep bending those if we don't have to. So, and we can just like wash those pop filters as well, so it's hygienic from that point of view, which keeps it all okay. Go on.
So I was just going to say, if anyone's watching and they're looking to buy a good headset, buy these ones. These are great headsets. They're directional. They're so directional. You almost have to even like those mics. If they're off a little bit to the right or to the left, like we won't really hear you. we won't.
No, and you can see them. You can see them in this one here when we did like with Sunshine Coast Bodyboard one as well. It's like, I mean, you can really tell, like, you've been there when you've had the headset on the laptop and you're like listening to them, because we listen the whole time, and you can tell when someone new comes in and they've got like the mic kind of down under their chin or whatever, and it's like, this is not like, this is a really good cardioid mic. Like it has to be it has to be kind of in front of your mouth, basically. You can't. The pickup patterns are really close, so which is great because like you don't get all the other stuff going on around them.
Exactly. They're damn good mics if you're looking to purchase some. Yeah. What brand were they again?
These are Audio-Technica ones. So I think these are like the BPH A1, I think, off the top of my head. I won't grab my case, but they're only like in Australia anyway, like $200 for a headset kind of thing. Like that's pretty good compared to what you pay for, and they come with both the 1/4-inch jack plus an XLR. So then you've got your mic and your headphone splits. So rather than being like a kind of more consumer 3.5mm jack that is like a stereo, and then you've got to plug it in something, because a lot of our audio equipment, as you can see from when the Rodecaster Pro was there, is all XLR when it comes to mics and things like that, and is also like 1/4-inch when it comes to headsets for more professional gear. So it's very consumer to have 3.5mm. So not a lot of professional audio gear is going to have that. So then you got to put adapters in and do all the other stuff, and that just creates a whole lot of issues. So the less adapters are better, but I think the Rodecaster Pro 2 has worked quite well for us, and has probably keep doing it in the future. Eventually we may record from it, but we don't need to at this stage. That's kind of works really good as an audio interface, to be honest, to put everything together. And the fact that we get 4 mics in that, and we put everyone together on top, like everyone loves it. And these headsets take a beating, to be honest, and they really just stay around, which is great, I would say.
No, they're fantastic. Now, I think the judges really benefit from our what we give them. So, we're a fair distance from the beach, really. Like we're usually a fair distance, and like if the judge is sitting there and they're watching the surf, they could easily miss some action. But we place a monitor in front of them in the morning. We give them a feed, and we give them replays, which I think is really beneficial for them. Because don't forget, they've got a really important job. Like their job that day is probably the most important. And they need to see everything. And there's usually four bodyboarders out there, and sometimes 2 or 3 can catch the same wave. And they're kind of relying on us to get that shot where we got all 3 of them in frame.
Yep.
Or if not, we're either panning left and right to get as much of it as possible. But and then if they do miss it, we've got a really nice replay to show them. But I really like how we give them that service, I guess. I think it really benefits everybody, not just the judges, but the actual competitors.
Why for the ARS?
I've
got this one here.
No, he was the first person to do the ARS in the first heat, and then that one was the biggest ARS, and then you came.
So the judges get our program, so they would get this kind of stuff as well. But we record replays the whole time that are in full 1080p. So if we need to output that goes on top.
Through and finished off with some rolls and stuff on the end, so linking up the combos really pays off.
Talking to him after the fact.
Yeah, and picking the movers as well is
this is great vision.
Always interesting.
Essentially, you can see the live stuff down the bottom left. You've got the commentators there with all of their advertising around them. You've got the headsets on. You've got 3 headsets running through. Everyone can mute themselves. You've got the live scores on top. You've got the club logo. Like you've got, this is what you would expect in some kind of World Surf League broadcast, IBC, those kind of things when it gets to the really international ones. Like this is kind of an expectation.
But and this is all going into the final, so you got like Cooper, who's the champion from last year.
And so then we actually do sponsorship. This is another level on top. So the Gold Coast Bodyboard Club, as well as we chatted to Sunshine Coast as well. So Inverted's one of the bodyboard companies that's around, which is came out from Australia, and they're quite good on the East Coast and certainly international now as well, and well known in the bodyboard scene. So they sponsor the replays from there. So we use this as a stinger between each of the final top. Now, so we've got little bugs on this that then hold up to show that it's a replay, so at least you can see that. Our replays always go out full screen.
I know he's
kind of
so strong player.
Yeah, there you go. This is the clip when he gets an ARS, and then he's like,
I feel a little bit nervous.
Like, this is all happening. Meanwhile, this is playing.
I think it's going to be an amazing heat to watch. There's between you and Cooper.
We don't have to stop playing a replay to then.
That's the end of the wave. We might have it run back through again for the ARS.
And then we come back to it, and they've just they've just seen it there. So you can see the shock at his face. He's like, oh, that's on top. And then we kind of played it out again.
And even to get some quick one.
So, it's like the difference of that. And then he's like explaining to it about what's going on.
I think if you did that, you would have got the 10.
And the judges can see that thing. So when we get to, I'll pause that and show you back. So like, say for example, that he's coming into here, and this was a quite long wave actually, but say he's coming into one of his tricks here.
That's where you come up and you
go,
boost nice.
Did he stick the landing on that? Did he actually go backwards? Did he flip? Did he invert? Did he whatever? And then they can see, okay, he's done a spin there.
And even to get
one spin, has it been 2 spins? So, like, there'll be the odd times where
back in the wave there after that spin was real good effort.
And it'll say, hey, can you replay that last wave for red, or replay that last one for blue, or
another spinner.
Yeah,
so
I
play all of that
to make roll one more roll.
Say, okay, that's
but
all good.
I couldn't
Find it. No. I think if you did
go from there essentially. So it does make it really interesting. I realised the audio is probably going on that clip while they were playing there while I was talking.
That's okay.
I mean that's what we kind of do, and like those are great moments there that we kind of get out of it. So I think the aspect of us giving those to the judges, and we use our little 15-inch little monitors that I've now put in cases from that point of view. And so those ones there essentially help to protect their monitors, their HDMI. They can run off USB battery, so we have enough battery for them to run all day and not plug in. So we're very isolated then, so we can run those things from anywhere. And I think our next integration really is into AFL, isn't it? To try and bring those screens into the coaches' boxes.
Absolutely, and it's like, why not? We've got the equipment. Like, here it is. This is not going to make your stream better, but it's just going to make your job a lot easier as well. Like I said before, like, it wasn't so much about making us look good, but it's, like, the judges, they rely on that technology. They really rely on it. It's just, it makes everybody's job a lot easier, and that's what we're there for. But like, who would not want that? Who would not want like a screen in front of them that shows them what we're doing and show you in the replay? It just makes, if it all comes together, it works really well. It works really well. But especially when looking at the replay side of things, like it's some people's career is almost relying solely on that service. Like, if that 5-second replay can, it can either sort of make or break, the event essentially, or, or it can be used for, like, what they weren't sure if that qualified for a wave, or, did they need to disqualify a competitor for something. Like, that's what it's there for. But it's great to do these streams where, we can utilize everything that we have. And,
exactly.
Make it really worth it. And there's a level of, there's a level of, I guess, emotion to it as well. Like, if we have a competitor that wins, we can, once they leave the beach, they're getting congratulated, they're getting their hugs, they're seeing their families, like we've seen before, and it definitely makes the stream a lot more special. And a lot more in the favor of the competitor as well. We capture a lot of really, really nice moments. Some players and some competitors as well. Like, it's really nice to see, because there is a lot of emotion in sport and in competitions, and we capture that, and like we've said many times on these VODCASTs, it's the great thing about it is it's there forever. It's digital, it's recorded, and people get to have these moments for the rest of their lives and share it. Essentially, it's a great. So we love, that's why we love streaming for these guys, because it's for the it's for sponsorships, it's for judges, it's for competitors, it's for the club. It's a lot of people benefit from these streams, and we love doing it.
No, and I think that's where we're growing more than anything else. Really, is just trying to keep that stuff kind of increasing. To be honest, like, and I think there's a lot of amateur talent in Australia that's not out there, because in Australia we don't tend to broadcast it, and I guess that's where we've found a niche for that still a lot of people don't chase. Like they'll go chasing the
Yep.
premier level kind of stuff, which is great. And you can all compete for
Yep.
that kind of stuff. But I think
Yep.
I think we enjoy having the people that are at those middle kind of levels, like watching
Yep.
them excel to get to the top ones and being there to be able to show that. And I think they're the levels that
Yep.
the families, the partners, the support people, people domestically, internationally, everyone will tune in for those streams. And we see that with the data that is on these streams and the viewership
Yep.
that we see afterwards, is that there's people watching it and it is increasing. The Future
Yeah.
Pros one, which is a great initiative that Gold Coast Bodyboard Club put out lately in the last few years, has gone like, initially it was like tester and it went really, really well. And then we did another one last year and like they had more entrants, they had more people interested, they had more sponsors. Like, it's only going to increase in strength from there. And this is showing people that are young kids and teenagers and whatever to bring that talent out to the world. And if we weren't streaming this, it wouldn't be there. It would just be in the phones of families and parents and like fellow competitors. It would be in little Instagram clips and Facebook clips, and it would never go out. But like, we put it out there, and we put it out at such a high quality that people keep wanting to watch, and they keep absorbing that.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm sure you've probably heard it as well when you've been there, is the people that come across and they're like, oh yeah, my family's watching it from home, like from there because they can't make it down today.
Yep.
And or they're in Perth and they can't come across and they want to see it, or down in Newcastle or something, so that is what it's about. And I think if we can provide that for more and more events, more and more sports, create more and more exposure for every different type of athlete and competitor, then I think that's where our goal lies, is just making those really great moments and showing them to the world so that people can grow with that. And like, that's where we are. That's what we're growing with as well.
No, that's it. That's it. It is actually about growth. It's not just growth on us, but it's growth on the clubs.
Exactly.
That's what it's about, man. Like, and you're dead right. It's like no one knows that this exists without this service. That's what's great. It's putting these clubs out there, and no, it's a fun sport. Well, I guess if we want to go back to the equipment that we use, I mean, like the photos that we've shown on this, I'm sure people are wondering what takes priority in getting set up first, and what and well, I guess basically, we set the cameras up. That's probably one of the first things we do.
Yeah.
We have a wide camera, which really, it's actually the wide camera that we put up it works really well because it's a beach, so you get dogs running, you get people walking.
Yeah.
And to occasionally, we don't always use the wide, but we occasionally cut to it if there's a really nice patch of clouds coming over, or there's a dog running past.
Yeah.
That's a really good angle to cut to. But
yeah, it worked really well in the Sunshine Coast one, didn't it? Like this one here.
Yes, it did.
That's where it worked. Like you set that one up quite nice. I mean, we had to angle it a little bit away from the sun that you can see just on the left. But I think we cut to this one a few times that day. I think I remember, because it was just like such a nice pan down the beach because of the position that we were in. That was a good shot from there.
It was, and it's definitely a nice angle when it's the right sort of time of day as well.
Yeah,
it's great. But yeah, we've got 3 cameras. We've got the main cam, which we use for close-ups for the competitors, the wide cam, and then we've got the commentary cam. So that's for me, that takes priority. We set those up first.
Yeah.
After that, I guess you set up the the laptop, make sure the program's all good, get the net gear up.
Yeah.
And then after that, I guess that's when we start getting the cables out, and when we start to connect them all over the place, I guess.
Yeah. And although it can look like, it's a bit of a mess and stuff, it's not actually. There's just layers on top of each other, to be honest, because we've often only got one 2-meter table or something to kind of fit everything on. So, to get all that and keep it out of the way and out of the beach, which is good. But I think that's where NDI comes in for us, because in this picture here, you were probably about 7 meters or so from me, 8 meters, I'd say. Like it's down
maybe not even that, maybe 5 meters. Yeah.
Down a few steps, wasn't it? Down to the bottom.
Yeah.
But wouldn't be reliable if we were just chucking an HDMI cable to there. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. I mean, you shouldn't really push HDMI cables more than 10 meters or 30 feet or whatever.
No.
So you can with fiber stuff, but I just don't trust it. So that's why we use NDI. Everything of our videos is encoded in NDI with the bird dogs, and they've worked really well. So everything's all in sync with NDI, which is great. So it's all stamped together, and each one of our cameras have that. So that goes through our Netgear switch and then comes into the laptop just with an Ethernet cable, which is great. So although we have the ATEM minis as backups in case something falls over, the ability for us just to plug everything in and just go click, click, click. The bird dogs get all of their power over Ethernet essentially, so they don't need any other DC power. And then we just plug in all of the power from generators or mains or wherever we get it. And so, while you're often doing the camera setups and I'm doing the other laptop and switch and other NDI setups, like probably takes us half an hour to 40 minutes, to be honest. Like I think our AFL ones are really streamlined now. Like I reckon they take us 15 to 20 minutes from go. Because we've got everything set up, and I guess we've chatted about this before about the pre-game setup of we have the templates, we have all of the data in, we have everything else already lined up. So when we turn everything on, it's literally just like turning on and make sure everything connects. That's the main thing. So
no, exactly.
It's good.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who are watching, you may have not heard of NDI, or you may have heard of NDI and have been a bit cautious about it because it sounds scary that it's a network, etc. But well, let's explain to them the workflow of NDI. Let's explain to them how we hook up to NDI.
Yeah.
And what we need, more importantly.
So this photo here is probably pretty good. Although this is one that I took when I kind of had all that. So the two at the top, you can use any kind of encoder. So NDI is essentially like video on the network is an easy way to kind of break it down. So it's a network protocol that we're using it for. And that is made by NewTek, which is an international company, and they license it. But what they've done great is that they've licensed it, but also anyone can start using it, and you can pay licenses for it. So they've made that kind of software and everything for it really accessible, as opposed to just commercializing it and keeping it for themselves. So from that point of view, we have the bird dog flex ins. They also have a flex out, so if you want to put an HDMI out of it. And then we've got our Netgear switch, so that's an M4250. So you want a network switch that is made for AV. You can get just a normal one and it'll work, but it may not have the LANs, so the local area network setups, that would give you really a good efficiency and really good setup when it comes to NDI. And so the Netgears are super easy. They're made for it. So they're their AV line style switches. You pay a little bit more. For this kind of switch, you're paying just over $1,000 or so to get, but you're not like, this is a 1 gigabit switch. When it comes to full HD NDI, which is what we do out of these flexes, NDI, you might have heard about the HX2s and HX and HX3 and all of that. So they're all compressions of it. So HX3 is the NDI HX3 is the latest one, and that offers very similar quality to what NDI full does, but for about a market amount less of data use, basically. So for most of a full stream, you'll do about 120 megabits out of that through the switch. And so you can easily kind of calculate that out. So you've got kind of, for a gigabit, you've got maybe 8 streams you can get away with before you max out your 1,000. So that's a fair amount. But what NDI also offers is called multicast. And so that's what our devices offer. It's what Netgear can play with, which is whereby you can send one video in via the encoders from there, and the encoder actually talks to the switch and it creates an image of it. And so instead of querying or that encoder multiple times to send it out to 6 different screens, it actually only holds it once in the switch. So you only use that data stream once. So you're only using 120, you're not using 720 megabits. So you're actually saving all of your overhead data that's in your switch. So although it's a little bit more technical, the fact is that a lot of the technology nowadays is helping so that you can output multiple sources from one single source and not use all of your network and not congest it. And so that is easier than using a ATEM mini and you only got 4 slots, whether it be SDI or HDMI, whatever model you get, or 8 if you get one of the large ones. So we have almost, if you're all doing all the compressed formats, you can keep going till you max out your network, basically. And if we ever upgraded in the future to like a 10 gigabit switch, suddenly we've got 10 times as much ability than what we've got here. So for not a lot more, to be honest, from the switches. And then you can link together these network switches. So you can create a whole daisy chain of them and network. So people with broadcast vans would have like one of these switches in there that's doing all of the stuff with all the computers. And then maybe if it's like 100 meters away or 50 meters away in the building or stadium or whatever, they're running an Ethernet cable or a fiber one to that, and then patching that between it. So then all that one up in the stadium or beach or wherever has all of the cameras connected to it. So you're not running cables for 200 meters each way. So it's about efficiency, it's about refinement. It's come a long way in the last few years, I would say, and
it has.
we've used it. We've used it for like other conferences. If you remember, Michael, like when we did the SNA conference. So we can use PowerPoint, we can use screen capture, we can remote from some. Like now, you've got remote options with NDI, so you can get a laptop and remote control it from somewhere else in the world, basically via NDI. Remote control a PTZ camera. So it's like getting quite powerful. And there's quite a few companies out there with Magewell and BirdDog and NewTek and stuff like that all have different encoders. So it's starting to really increase, and the gear's getting a lot cheaper to be able to access from there as
it's
well.
Reliable.
It's
reliable. We've probably honestly done about 50 streams of NDI. I'd say almost 50 or more. We've never had dramas with it. It's literally cables, ins and outs. It's that easy. It's extremely easy. It's a great option to do, and it's just very friendly. It's very friendly.
I mean, this is where this is the one where we first tested NDI. If you remember that, this is like when I was like, well, I just set everything all up, and then I just grabbed like an HDMI out from your ATEM, but like that had zero issues. Like that had a full record the whole time. That was when we just set everything up all together, and it was great from there. But it means that, like, first of all, you've got a Cat6 cables click in, so you know that they're not going to just reef out. I do worry about with that HDMI. I'm always going to worry with HDMI for that. Like, it's always going to be a thing that you're always going to be pushing it together to hope that it's in. But that's the thing. As long as you've got the encoders there and they're all powered from the switch, you don't have to provide anything else. All you got to do is plug in the power to the switch. And buy super cheap Cat6 cables. Like I've got a couple of 100-meter cables if and when we needed them, which is probably the maximum you're going to run Cat6 and still get like full data on it. But if we ever needed that, we could. So, we could go shoot AFL or cricket like we chatted about before. Bodyboarding's the other thing. So if we ended up having trailer, van, whatever up the back of the beach and then having cables run down, we can just run an Ethernet cable down to where the tents are, basically. And all of our switching can happen that way. Like we're on vMix at the moment. We always use vMix to switch stuff, but that puts out NDI really easily. And so that can go back onto the switch. So then we can pick that up. And we've talked about, or I've talked about at least with the Gold Coast Bodyboard Club, of potentially the sponsors putting up for like a competitor's tent in the future. And so they can be off to the side. And so where we've got, like in this here, we've got all of our staff and that's all going, got the commentators, etc. You can then have a line that comes out from the Ethernet from there, and it goes to one of our like BirdDog Plays or an Apple TV or something else, and then just takes our NDI program feed from vMix, which doesn't even go into our records, like that's going separately, but that can then go out and convert it HDMI to a screen. The plays can run off USB kind of bricks as well. Like we can be so easy to just run without plugging into mains power, and we can plug into our, as you can see down the bottom there of that one there, you can see our little 15-inch screen, which I've now put into cases. But if you had power to run to a bigger monitor, all you need is HDMI out from the like a Play device, which I just got some new ones on that I'm going to test this weekend. And so that's where NDI works, and I can just all route that via the browser, so via Chrome or something like that, and just say, that goes there, that goes there. All of it talks to each other, whereas before you'd have to go get on a walkie-talkie or run down a cable and then disconnect it and reconnect it and ask if it's working or not. It's like we can tell what signal's going to where, and that's the great benefit of our gear. And I think that's why we've pushed for that early on, and it's been quite fruitful, I would say, to be able to grow because we get because we're taking HDMI straight from the cameras, we're getting uncompressed HDMI, and so we're getting a really good signal for that. And so it's not going to like AVC HD or MX ACV or AVC or whatever else like kind of codec the camera wants to record it at, we're getting purely off the sensor, so we're getting a really clean signal, and yeah, they all look great, to be honest, and like it's been quite clean and quite easy to do, as opposed to just buying expensive HDMI cables. You know, we can get away with 1 and 2 meter kind of jobs then rather than 10 meter ones, so saves us money at the end of the day.
It does. No, it's a great setup. I urge anyone who's got that budget to give it a try. Yeah, you won't go wrong with it. No, good. I think I might wrap it up.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much to really go. I think we've chatted a lot about the bodyboard stuff. I think like we've got a few more. The bodyboard's certainly increasing. I think the aim for me and us kind of this year is maybe to get out to a few of and try some of our remote streaming options for some of the club rounds. So ones where you're maybe not going to have a commentator, maybe not going to have other things, but where and we're going to test it off tomorrow, like with some of our FL kind of stuff that we don't have to stream for, but we're just going to test some things. So just try out some SRT, which we can get into vMix, which a lot of people over internationally use to get it into vMix, do replays. And then run it from there. So like we're growing pretty well, and we're building to the things that actually will help our clients grow on top, and the things that they're interested in. So I think if you're ever in these scenarios, like if you've got a bodyboard club, if you've got a surf club, if you've got something else that's like, you know, a hockey club or a athletics club or something else that's like, you know, you don't get recorded, you don't get streamed, but you don't need all the commentators or you don't need anything else. Like this is an option that we can try and offer and provide both either remote or on-site kind of options. And like we can get you out there, and we can do that with really high quality gear. We can do it with a really high quality signal and make it redundant so you stay up. And like you said before, and you've said on the other podcast as well, like it's a digital record and it stays forever. And that's the archival process of it. I mean, we save everything and put on the cloud anyway, but you know, they've got that always on YouTube. They can show people, they can share it, they can love it. And like, that's the quality that we deliver at Absolute Streaming.
Exactly. No, it's definitely a very, very fun industry for not only us, but for any sort of, you know, organization or you know, non-sporting organization. It's fun. It's all fun. You know, we've got the opportunity to have fun with it. Let's do it. Let's have some fun. You know.
And I think that's where we see this year. That's the big thing, isn't it? Like that's where this year's like we're hoping to really like put it into those other corners and really show it off.
Yeah, well, we believe that like any sort of organization, club or not, sporting club or not, can benefit from this, from our what we do. You know, if you're watching TV, watching, you know, basketball or cricket or soccer, and you think, you know, it's only confined on a TV network, you can try us, and you know, we can pretty much do the exact same thing. You see on a broadcast, and you know, it's like I said, it's fun. It's all fun.
Yeah, we got so many options that we just still haven't put out there yet either. That's the other big thing. It's like, you know, the potential is huge, and I think that's what excites us more than anything else.
It's exciting, yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
But anyway, we'll see you for the next time. I guess. Well, what should we talk about next, Nelson? What's?
I think
we haven't had a conference one yet, have we?
No, I think that'd be good. And I think talking about some of that gear and some of the audio things and connecting into other people's stuff. Like right now, a lot of our sports vendors, we're in very isolated networks. So we just bring our gear. No one else connects into our stuff. That's kind of it. But I think conferences, concerts, that's the other thing where you've got to kind of plan ahead and think. So I think a combined one of that would be really good. And just kind of tackling some of those challenges, what you can grow and what you can do with it, and how our setup works really easily and really well to get you really high quality from that point as well.
No, I think it is a lot different to a you know, sporting match in some ways, but it'd be good to go into it. It'd be good to go into it because it's challenging as well. Everything's all challenging. You know, and you know, there was a time where, you know, we never did a conference before, so it'd be good to relive, I guess, our you know, adventures with that.
That sounds good.
All
right, that sounds good, right? Sounds good. So I guess until next time, But yeah, we'll see you all later, I'd say.
See you guys. See you next time.
To do a big shout out to Absolute Streaming for making this live stream possible.
Broad Beach Cats 2021 QAFL Premiers.
Big shout out to Absolute Streaming, absolute legends.